Chapter 11 Training Aurora. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. After Theo took a shower, he went for his driving lessons, and in the afternoon, he went for the shop. He entered it by the back door. Now that the shop was always full, he didn't want many people knowing that he was the boss. 1 week passed and Theo was in his bedroom watching an online class on culinary to deepen and level up his knowledge. He figured that he would learn more in these classes as the teacher would offer different perspectives on the subjects. When he received an email from Sam with the accounting of last week's profit of the shop, he opened it, and the more he read it, the more he felt happy. In the first 5 days of the release of the new recipes, the shop had a huge increase of customers and consequently in profit. After the 5th day, the profit stagnated. But Sam observed that reason was that the space of the shop was too small to house more customers, causing stagnation of profit. Now the profit stabilized at $3,500 daily. He was static when he looked at this number. I guess it is time to open the branches. Sam told me that the shop was a sensation around the city and everybody heard of it. We have to take advantage of this publicity to open more branches so I can have more profit, he thought. Theo opened the file that Sam sent him about places of potential places to open the branches. He particularly liked 4 places. 2 in the north of the city, 1 in the east, and the last being inside a mall. Next day, early in the morning, if anyone looked at the street, they would be able to see 2 youngsters with gray hair running on the street. "Brother, I feel much better after I started running with you," Aurora said tiredly after they ended up their run. "I want to go with you to the dojo too," she exclaimed with shining eyes. She didn't go to the dojo with Theo in the past week because by the time she finished running she was too exhausted to continue training. "That's great, sis. You can learn how to defend yourself if something happens," he said, looking at her worriedly. Such a beautiful girl like his sister, it would be dangerous for her to walk alone at any time of the day. They arrived and Aurora started learning the basics of martial arts, while Theo sparred with some veteran fighters. After 1 week of training, Theo already could control his body without any discomfort like a grandmaster of 3 styles. Muay Thai is a style that originated in Thailand. Karate, the school Japanese style. And Capoeira, the Brazilian style. Of the 3, he liked Capoeira the most. Because this style was a mix of dance and fighting, the opponent didn't even realize he was in a fighting stance before being knocked out. It was very acrobatic too. "Theo, let's have a freestyle sparring," said Akihiro. Sensei. Theo looked at the middle-aged man that had traits of Japanese people of his past life and agreed. Yesterday as he was sparring with some students, Akihiro. Sensei noticed that he was too advanced for others and he asked Theo to spar with him. And that resulted in Theo being utterly defeated, and that surprised the hell out of Theo. It's important to remember that Theo already could move his body without any discomfort. But Akihiro. Sensei somehow won. But Theo also didn't fight seriously because if he used his fighting styles through the discomfort, he would end the fight in one movement. "Let's go, Sensei," Theo said with enthusiasm. Theo found out these days that he loved the thrill of fighting. He loved the thrill of mastering his styles and putting them into practice. Theo fought Akihiro. Sensei for 1 hour of his 2-hour class in the dojo. In the last spar, Theo won by connecting a beautiful air kick in Capoeira style. "Theo, you seem to be only rusty, huh?" Akihiro. Sensei said, noticing that the more Theo fought, the more he seemed better. "Yes, Sensei. I came here because I wanted to remember how it was to fight," Theo said, some lie to cover up his strange situation. "Well, tomorrow onwards we will be sparring during the entire class," he said excitedly too, because after all these years of fighting he was already a black belt and it was difficult to find someone to spar that could make him feel thrilled. "Yes, Sensei," he shouted with a smile. "Stop calling me Sensei. You are a sensei too, aren't you?" he said with a chuckle. "Please take care of me from now on, partner," Akihiro. Sensei said while bowing his head. Theo looked at him with the hesitation of stopping calling him Sensei. Although he had a short time in his tutelage, he still felt he was his sensei. But as he looked at the eyes of Akihiro, he felt Akihiro was showing the respect of someone at his level of expertise. Please take care of me for now on too, partner, Theo said with a smile while his head too. After they departed, Theo saw Aurora leaving the beginner class tiredly but with an excited face. Big brother. That was awesome. I love it how I can beat up people, she exclaimed. Theo laughed at his sister's statement. If you want, I can teach you more if you like that much, Theo laughed. Seriously, brother, she said with her purple eyes shining with excitement. Of course, Cupcake, he said affectionately as he looked at her. I would do anything for you, silly girl, Theo said in his mind. Let's go home, he said. Chapter 12 Hiring a Manager. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the afternoon, he came to the shop and called Sam to his office. Sam, I have a proposition for you, Theo said while looking at her blue eyes. I am all ears, boss, she said, feeling this was serious business from his tone. I am very satisfied with your work. As you know, I am planning on opening branches, and I want someone to oversee the operations of all the shops, and I want you for the job. Obviously, your salary will be raised accordingly. And if I see that you did a great job, I will offer you an even higher position on my future project. I have the contract here with all the details of the job, he said as he passed the document to her. She accepted as she looked at it, shocked. She thought she would only be at shop manager for him. She thought he would want someone with a degree or someone with more experience for this job. As she studied the contract, the more she read it, the more she was shocked. She was going to be the general manager of the Blue Cloud coffee shop, and the money she would earn monthly was what she received over a year working as a barista girl. Boss, are you sure you want me for this job? She said meekly while looking down. I never had anyone else in mind for this position. I want you, Theo said with determination. Hearing his tone, she looked at him and saw that his silver eyes looked at her like with a trust that she would be great at the job. I accept it. Thank you for this opportunity, she said emotionally. She signed the contract without any more hesitation. Now that you have signed it, you're going to have lots of work to do. I want to open 4 new shops simultaneously in these 4 locations. He passed a document for her. For the next 2 hours, they discussed the plan for the branches. Theo was going to invest almost $50,000 in these branches, almost the total cash he had in his bank account. Most of the money was to buy the land of 3 shops, since the shop in the mall was going to be rented it. The renovations were going to be costly, since Theo wanted to contact a designer to draw the brand logo for the shop. Theo figured it was time for the shop to have an image that when anyone saw it, they would think of the Blue Cloud coffee shop. Sam estimated that she needed 7 days before they could open the shops. He would help her before she could hire a staff that would take care of the operations of the chain shops. He said to her that she could hire an assistant to help with her everyday job. Theo came home that day feeling that his shop was going on the right path. He felt lucky he met Sam in this life. He entered his apartment and saw Aurora was on the couch looking at her phone. Hey, Cupcake, he greeted her warmly. Hey, big bro, Aurora said while looking at her brother. Do you want to start your lessons in self-defense? He asked. Yes, she shouted excitedly. He chuckled and asked for help to move the furniture of the living room. Let's start, he said while thinking which style would be better for her. He concluded that Krav Maga, used by the Israel army of his past life, focused on quick and devastating strikes to the body's most vulnerable areas. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this style focuses on grappling and controlling the opponent, while gaining a dominant position and using several techniques to force them into submission. He figured she could use Krav Maga if someone wanted to deliver a blow on her. She could defend it and deliver a counterattack in her opponent's vulnerable area to incapacitate them. But if someone managed to grab her, she could use Jiu-Jitsu to defend against the grab or defeat them, since Jiu-Jitsu masters are known of being capable of defeating someone physically stronger than them with only the Jiu-Jitsu technique. Theo started teaching her the 2 styles, and he discovered that teaching could help him advance the control of his body, and he felt happy about it. They trained for an hour and stopped it to have dinner. Afterward, they went to their respective rooms. For next week Theo busied himself with the expansion of his shop. He even started coming home late. But he still taught Aurora for 1 hour the 2 fighting styles in the evening. After teaching her, he would go to his room so that he could continue working on the opening of the branches through his laptop. He even had to stop studying his pieces of knowledge so that he could finish his job. Theo wanted to open the branches, the sooner the better. On the eve of opening the branches, Theo was watching TV with Aurora on the couch. "Sis, I want to take you somewhere tomorrow," he said while thinking it was time to let her know about his shop. "Sure, big brother." "Where?" she asked. "It's a surprise," he said smiling mysteriously. "Humph," she pouted while looking away. "So cute," he thought while looking at her, admiring her pout. Chapter 13 Opening Branches. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the morning after they came back from the dojo, they got ready and Theo took her to the mall that was nearby his apartment. As he strolled with her, they arrived in one of the food courts of the mall. They didn't have breakfast yet, so they were hungry. Aurora looked around, looking for something that caught her attention. Then her eyes lit up as she looked at one shop that had a blue cloud with stars image on the front side. It was a beautiful logo and she recognized it as being a shop that recently was famous in the city. "Brother, let's go there," she said excitedly. "Sure," he said with eyes full of playfulness. As they entered, they faced the shop that was full of people. They had to line up before ordering. As they got to the counter after waiting in line for around 10 minutes, they ordered. Aurora ordered a hot milk tea and strawberry cheesecake. Theo then ordered the same. They got their order after 1 minute of waiting. As they got seated, Theo stared at his sister wanting to know her reaction to his recipes. Aurora first tasted the cheesecake and for a moment she froze, not believing such a delicious thing could exist. And the same thing happened after she tasted the milk tea. She finished everything like she had been starving for months. Aurora looked at her brother after finishing eating. She realized he was observing her without having eaten his meal. "Brother, you have to taste this. It is so delicious. Almost as delicious as your food," she said. Theo felt proud as she complimented his recipes. After his knowledge, FB leveled up. His food could be compared to professional cooks, so he usually cooked for her because she loved his food. "If you want it, you can eat mine too," he said looking at her dotingly knowing she wanted more. She hesitated but he looked like he wouldn't take a no for an answer so she accepted. She ate it all in no time. After that, they got out and started strolling around the mall. Theo bought some clothes for him and Aurora. He also bought makeup for her as she looked at it with puppy eyes when they passed the shop. He bought anything she wanted and they left the shop as Aurora looked happy beyond measure. Theo felt emotional as he was starting to realize his promise to make Aurora live like a princess. After they went home, he cooked for her. While he cooked, she was at the counter of the kitchen helping him. "Aurora, I have something to tell you," he said seriously. Aurora felt that her brother was going to say something important so she paid attention. "Around the start of our vacations, I won $10,000 in a lottery ticket. I thought about it and I felt it was better if I could invest this money so that I could make more money than spending all of it. So, I bought a coffee shop with the money. And it turns out I am very talented at handling business and my shop was a big hit. Especially after I introduced my recipes. Today I opened 4 branches of the shop and now I can say that I can provide for our family," he said, telling her almost the whole truth. He didn't tell her about the system not because he didn't trust her but because he didn't want to burden her. So, he only lied about the starting capital and everything else was the truth. She froze as she processed what her brother said. Now she understood how her brother got all this money. She felt so proud of her brother. He was an amazing person. "You are incredible, brother," she exclaimed happily, "but wait a minute, this story is familiar to me," she said in a low voice, and then came the realization. "Brother, are you the owner of the Blue Cloud coffee shop?" she asked in a shout. Yes, he said simply with a chuckle. She was shocked. The Blue Cloud coffee shop became one of the most famous shops in the city in only 1 month and a half, and today she saw that it deserved being famous because it had delicious dishes. She felt even more proud of her brother. Now she understood why he took her out today. She was happy. Later that day, Theo was in his bedroom relaxing after this week of intense work on opening the branches when he a sound in his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host on completing the mission, I want branches. Ding. Congratulations to the host on completing the hidden mission, 1 branch is good but I want more. Wow, I somehow completed a hidden mission, Theo thought excitedly, issuing rewards. Congratulations. You received $20,000 in your bank account, congratulations. You received 600 EXP, ding. Congratulations. You have leveled up from level 3 to level 4. You received 4 free attributes points and 1 lucky draw ticket, ding. You received arts design knowledge skill, ding. You received 4 free attribute points, ding. You received 600 EXP, wow, the rewards of this hidden mission are pretty good. Especially the art knowledge. Now I can draw everything that I want, but I have to level up the skill first. Theo thought to himself, retrieve the arts design knowledge skill, he said in his mind. Then he felt knowledge of designing and arts pouring into his mind. It was amazing. The knowledge gave him various artistic concepts and the ability to draw and design. After it was over, he started thinking of how to distribute his free attributes points. System, assign 6 points to intelligence and 2 points to strength, he said in his mind. Then he felt the same sensations he felt before when he increased his strength. But now, he also felt that his brain was expanding inside his head. He felt that his brain was ascending to its current limit. His brain had a sublimation and Theo achieved a genius brain. The process took over 10 minutes. After it was over, he looked at his reflection in the mirror. He was impressed by his changes. He looked stronger but he wasn't too big. He looked lean but also strong. His muscles looked even more defined. Also, his eyes looked more spirited, like he was someone wise that lived countless years. He definitely looked more handsome. He also felt more intelligent somehow. He had the feeling that he could learn many times faster and don't forget anything. He didn't think he was the most intelligent person in the world, but now he was definitely a genius. System, show my status. Theo said. Chapter 14 Drawing a Manga. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Status, he said in his mind, ding. Host. Theodore Gray level 4, 600/1000, age. 18 cash, $46,500 equals $34,500 business companies owned. 100% shares, Blue Cloud Coffee Shop, $70,000 equals $100,000, attributes. Strength. 17.0 intelligence. 20 vitality. 13.1 charm. 16 free attribute points. 0 lucky draws tickets. 1 skills. 1 business management. Level 6, 1289/4000. The ability to manage a business to success. 2 food beverages. Level 5, October 2000. The knowledge to create and make food and drinks to perfection. Host gains knowledge of the secrets behind the food beverage. 3. Grandmaster fighting experience of the myriad of styles, level max. You possess the fighting experience of grandmasters of over 1,000 styles of fighting. You have all the knowledge, all you have to do is to practice to be a real grandmaster. Your training is thousands much faster than a normal person. 4. Arts design knowledge skill, level 1, 0/100. The knowledge on how to draw aesthetically and on how to design myriads of projects. Theo analyzed his status in his mind first. The value of blue coffee took a huge leap, and now it was worth $500,000. Second, my current attributes are all beyond average finally. Third, my knowledge levels didn't increase much because this last week I didn't have time to study them, but I liked the description of the art skill. This skill can help me dive into different types of enterprises. And lastly, I still have a lucky a draw ticket, he thought. System, draw my lucky ticket, Theo said excitedly, opening lucky draw roulette. Theo saw again a roulette with thousands of things written on it as it started to spin it. Around 1 minute later, it stopped spinning. Ding! Congratulations! You received the completed Naruto manga series. Chapter 15 Applying for an early graduation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The summer is ending and with it, the summer vacations too. I should study the high school program so that I can apply for early graduation. I only have half a year before I graduate, but I don't want to waste my precious time going to classes. Theo thought the Gray siblings were currently having dinner after another session where Theo taught Aurora the two fighting styles, Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu. Theo managed to be able to control his body without discomfort in these two styles. So now he was a full-fledged grandmaster in these styles. And now he could teach her much better. Theo noticed that Aurora got some talent and she was progressing rather fast. He was happy that she was learning how to defend herself. Brother, I would like to ask something from you, Aurora said suddenly while looking down. Theo was surprised. Aurora seldom asked something from him. With their previous financial situation, she knew shouldn't ask for too much stuff from her brother. But even though he was surprised, he answered without hesitation, sure, ask away, brother. I have been thinking about all the amazing things you have been able to accomplish and I want to help you. But I don't know anything, so I was thinking about transferring to a more prestigious school so I could learn more. I want to help you. But the problem is that the tuition fees of this school are a bit pricey. Aurora said in a low voice. Theo felt emotional. His sister wanted to help him in his path to conquest. He got thinking. The school that they were currently studying wasn't that bad, but it didn't excel in anything. It was the better school that his predecessor could afford to pay. Sister, you can ask me anything, he exclaimed, and of course, I can get you into this new school. Money isn't a problem. Tomorrow I am going to our high school to apply for early graduation. And while at it, I can apply for your transfer. You can contact the new school and start studying for the admission exam that I am sure is gonna be hard. If you don't understand some subjects, you can ask me. I can teach you. Theo said everything while looking tenderly at his sister. Aurora was overwhelmed with a warm feeling in her heart as she heard her brother. Brother, I love you so much, she said while throwing herself in his arms. I love you too, Cupcake, Theo said while hugging her and stroking her gray hair. More than anything in this world. He completed in his mind in the morning. Theo finished his sparring session with Akihiro-sensei early as the sensei needed to go somewhere else today. Theo came to watch Aurora spar with the other students. She was currently sparring with a boy that was around 10 centimeters taller than her. But she seemed unfazed by the difference of physical prowess. She was going around him while avoiding his grab. When he suddenly jumped on her. But as he almost had her in his grasp, she turned sideways and got a grab of his extended arm, while her leg leveraged his leg, making him fall to the ground. At this time, she fell to the ground while locking his arm in a lock with her legs. His only options were to admit defeat or he would break his arm because the lock she applied on him was capable of that. He tapped her and she released him. Aurora, great lock, said the instructor to her. She was beaming with happiness. She never imagined one day she would be able to defeat someone much stronger than her. Theo was watching everything unfold. And he was a proud brother of his sister. She was fighting against amateurs, but she was getting experience. In a few more months she would be able to fight opponents with more experience. Later that morning, Theo was in his high school uniform, which looked too small for him. With all the changes I had this summer, it was expected this would happen, he thought. He arrived at his school. Currently, the school only had teachers frequenting it, as they prepared for the return of classes. Theo came to the principal's office and asked for a meeting. He waited for 1 hour until he was called. Theo entered the office and saw a middle-aged bald man sitting behind a desk. "Good morning, Principal. My name is Theodore Gray. I am in my final year here and I wanted to apply for early graduation," Theo said directly as he took a seat. "Good morning, Mr. Gray. I see you only have half a year before graduation," the principal said while looking at his information. "Yes, sir," Theo said, "if you asked me this at the beginning of the school year it would be much more difficult, but now that we are halfway through and the other students are more worried about college entrance exams, I can apply for an early exam for you, and if you pass you can have early graduation. We still have 14 days before the classes return. I presume you can come here in that day and an education bureau examiner will oversee your examination," the principal said. The principal didn't think too much of it. Theo wasn't one of his star students, so he could afford to lose some average student. What he didn't know was that Theo was a completely new person and a genius for someone of his age. "Thank you, Principal," Theo said with a smile. Theo always knew it wouldn't be too hard to apply for early graduation. "Now I have something else to request you, sir," Theo said. "I want to apply for the transfer of the student Aurora Gray of the first-year class 1C, Theo said. "Only the legal guardian can apply for that," the principal said while shaking his head. "I am her legal guardian," Theo said while he passed the documents that proved he was Aurora's legal guardian. On the day his predecessor turned 18 years old, the first thing he did was to start the process to be Aurora's legal guardian, as he was afraid that they would take her away from him. It was pure luck that they didn't receive a visit from the government regarding their situation. So, he had all the documents. The principal looked at the documents somewhat surprised. He didn't expect this youngster to be Aurora's legal guardian. He knew Aurora as she was one of the best students of her year. "Are you sure of that? She will have to readjust to her new school and that can be detrimental for her," the principal said in reluctance to let such a good student go. "Yes, I am sure," Theo said curtly. Theo knew what the principal was thinking, but he would follow Aurora's decision no matter what. "In that case, you can ask my assistant to start the transfer. Tomorrow we can deliver all the necessary documents to finalize the process," the principal said finally with a sign. "Tomorrow I can get these documents and go directly to the high school Aurora wants to go to and apply for an admission exam for her." She said the name of the school was Yukiheim High School. Theo thought as he exited the principal's office. Later that day he was at the shop going through a plan of how to acquire the publishing house. "Sam, I want you to start searching all the news you can about the Fuji Jump Company," Theo said to her as she entered his office. "Isn't that a publishing house? We searched it." "Boss, are you really thinking of buying it?" she asked with some worry. She knew her boss was a business genius, but the Fuji Jump Company wasn't a good company to invest, she thought. "You don't have to worry. I know what I am doing," he said with a reassuring smile. She hesitated but agreed as she knew her boss liked to perform miracles. Chapter 16 Yukiheim High School. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, Theo was at the front of the Yukiheim High School and he was truly impressed. It seemed more like a university than a high school. He walked into the campus and he had to ask for directions because the school was too big and he got lost. After a while, he arrived at the admissions office of the school. "Hello, I would like to apply for an admission exam," he asked the secretary. "Sure, our admission exam from first to third years will happen in 10 days. The application is for you or someone else?" the secretary asked. "It is for my sister." Theo said, "Okay, you can wait a moment and I will take you to talk with the head of the office," the secretary said. Theo already waited 30 minutes when he was called into an office that was the same size as the principal's office of his school. "That's crazy. I imagine whoever is the head of this office is more influential than my school's principal," Theo thought as he looked around. It was then that an extremely beautiful woman entered the office. She had black that went until her hips, an oval face, red cheeks, and her eyes were green like the sea. Theo was momentarily stunned, but he got hold of himself in no time. "Good morning, my name is Theodore Gray and I am here to apply for the admission exam for my sister," Theo said without beating around the bush. "Good morning, my name is Ashiki Asaka, the head of the admissions office. If you pass me the necessary documents, I can apply for an exam for her." Asaka said, surprised at his antics, but she was pleased nonetheless. Asaka examined the documents, and when she saw that Theo was the legal guardian of his sister, her eyes became tender as she wondered how such a young person would be responsible for another being. "I see that everything is in order. Aurora can come to take the test in 10 days. The results of the exam will be posted on our website the next day after the test," Asaka said directly. Theo was happy that everything went well. He bade farewell to her as they finished the application. Later that day Theo was training Aurora in self-defense. "You have to always protect your arms, someone can grab your arms and have more power than you. As they can put you down and overpower you. So, what you have to do is while they go for your arms, you defend and grab theirs instead," Theo said. "But what if someone is able to grab my arm? How do I get out?" Aurora asked. "In that case, you have to use your whole body as leverage to defend and counterattack," Theo said as he demonstrated how to get out of the grab. After they finished their training, Theo said to her, "I got the application for the Yukiheim High School admission exam. The exam is in 10 days. If you want, I can help you study for it." Theo said tenderly, "Thank you, brother. I would love to get your help," Aurora said sweetly. Aurora always loved expending time with her brother. So, for the next 5 days, Theo had the same routine. He would train in the dojo in the morning and during the day he would study his knowledge for his graduation exam. And at night he would train Aurora and solve doubts she had in any subject of the admission exam. Theo now was in his office studying the report Sam delivered him about the Fuji Jump Company. He was pleased with her work. She managed to find out that the company originally was worth over $1 million, but now that it was on the verge of bankruptcy, it was only worth $300K. She also managed to find out that someone made an offer for them of $150K to buy the company. But the Fuji company didn't answer. Theo decided tomorrow he would go there to buy the company. He was looking forward to owning a publishing house and completing his system mission too. The next day Theo wore jeans pants and a black shirt. He had money to buy more expensive clothes, but he preferred dressing simply. He arrived at the Fuji Jump Company. And he observed it. It was a 4-store building that looked somewhat old but also stylish. He arrived at the front and saw a young girl that he assumed was the greeter. "Hello, my name is Theodore Gray and I have an appointment with the head manager," Theo said. Theo wasn't like some characters he had read in some novels in his past life that seemed to like being humiliated by not being prepared, so he called the company to appoint for a meeting with the manager, and it was surprisingly easy. The girl looked at the schedule that she had and indeed it had a Theodore Gray. "Hello, if you go to the 4th floor, you will be taken to the head manager's office," the girl said with a smile. "Thank you," Theo said with a smile. The girl was stunned by his smile. "He is so handsome," she dreamed, and when she was thinking about asking his number he was already gone. Theo arrived on the 4th floor and waited 10 minutes until he was called into the office. He entered the office and thought it was a pretty neat office. He looked at the desk of the head manager and found a child seating behind the desk. She was 150 and had a baby face that made one think that she was a 12-year-old child. Only she wasn't a child. She was the head manager. "Thank you, Sam, for your report. If I didn't know before, I would think she was a child and be rude to her," Theo thought, relieved. "Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Theodore Gray," he said while extending his hand to greet her. "Nice to meet you too, my name is Haruno Sayuri," she said, surprised as she was used to being mistaken as a child when people first meet her. Nonetheless, she was happy that she wasn't mistaken because she hated being treated as a child. Thank you. I came here today because I have a proposition for you, Hirono-san, Theo said formally. The Sakura abode country was a mix of two clans. One had the resemblance of England, named Pendragon Clan, and the other with Japan, named Yamato Clan. Some centuries ago, the two clans almost went to war to claim hegemony of the land, but before the war could begin, the princesses of the two clans managed to convince the clans that peace was the best path. So, the two clans signed the peace treaty in the center of the Sakura forest where an abode was built for the occasion. The scenery was so beautiful that they named the new alliance the Sakura Abode Alliance, and many years later became a country. Even though the clans mixed up and some traditions lost being obligatory, it was polite to refer to the Yamato clan descendants with their tradition. That's why Theo used her family name and an honorific. You can call me Sayuri, you can state your business, she said, surprised, as it was rare for someone to use the Yamato traditions these days. I want to buy this company, he said, directly expressing his intentions, as he wanted her to contact the owner of the company to state his proposition. Chapter 17, Buying a Publishing Company. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sayuri froze when she heard what he said. What Theo didn't know was that Sayuri was the owner of the Fuji Jump Company. She was the adopted daughter of the last owner. And because the inheritance was confidential, Sam didn't find out that she was the owner. Sayuri was feeling a bit upset because this company was the baby of her late father and she promised herself to take care of it. But without any good mangas to publish, the company was on the verge of bankruptcy. Well, at least he asked politely and showed me respect, she thought while thinking of the last jackass that rudely made an offer for the company. I understand that this is a special company with some history. So, I offer to buy only 90% of the shares for a price $300,000. And the last 10%, I offer as a token to the owner so that she knows that they are still a part of this company, Theo said. He knew that the current owner preferred declaring bankruptcy to selling, so he planned to not buy all the shares and somehow convince the owner to be a shareholder of the company. Sayuri stopped the refusal she was prepared to say and fell into thought. That's a much better offer than the last. She thought the last offer was outrageous. They offered only $150,000 to buy all the shares of the company. And they would fire all the employees and only keep the facilities of the Fuji company. He offered the double for only 90% of the shares. Sayuri was deep in thought as she went through this offer. I have a business plan to reform this company. That will revolutionize and make a new and more famous company. And I have a manga here that I am sure will be famous. I assure you that I am serious about making this company successful but without losing its roots. Theo said to end his arguments. Sayuri felt emotional as she has been trying to make Fuji Jump Co. successful, but her rivals poached her mangakas and she suffered setback after a setback. When she heard that the company could stand up again, she made a decision. Mr. Gray, to be honest with you, I am the owner of this company and I didn't have any intention of selling, but hearing you talk about making the Fuji Jump Company successful again without losing its roots made me want to believe in you. So, I am going to bet on you, she said while looking at his eyes. Theo was surprised that she was the owner, but that didn't matter as he was happy that she accepted his offer. I am sure you won't regret this decision, Sayuri. And please, you can call me Theo, he said with a reassuring smile. Happy cooperation, Theo said as he extended his hand. Happy cooperation, Sayuri, while extending her hand too. She didn't know yet, but that moment would change her whole life as the most famous manga publishing house was born. They talked about the process of passing over the company. Sayuri said it would take a couple of days. Theo left the building happily as he would own a publishing house in 2 days. Theo went directly to the first coffee shop he bought. He felt that it was a little inappropriate to have his office here. I need an office without any attachments to Blue Cloud Coffee Shop or the Fuji Jump Company to oversee the operations of my companies, he thought. I should establish a company to oversee the management of my companies, Theo thought as he entered his office. He called Sam to his office. Sam, I have a few important tasks for you. I was able to acquire 90% of the shares of the Fuji Jump Company. As you know, we are expanding and I want to establish a company that in the name is going to oversee the operations of my companies, but this is going to be a shell company. As I am going to establish a company that in the shadows will operate everything. So, your task is opening 2 companies. One shell company and the other a discrete company. Theo explained his plan. You are right, boss. I was thinking of this problem while I searched the information of the publishing house. In 1 week tops I can establish the 2 companies with the government, Sam said. What name I register them, Theo? Sam questioned. Theo thought about it when suddenly he remembered something. Umbrella Corporation for the shell company. And Skynet Corporation for the operating company. Theo said playfully as he thought of the evil corporations of Resident Evil and Terminator of his past life. Sam thought the naming choice was peculiar but agreed nonetheless. I also want you to rent a floor of a commercial building to be our headquarters. It is inappropriate for us to occupy this store. I imagine the manager of this store doesn't even have room to work. But don't rent nothing too eye-catching. Theo said. Finally, boss. Sam exclaimed happily. She didn't even have room to work anymore in this tiny store. For the next 2 days, Theo added into his routine drawing the first few chapters of To Show Sayuri after he officialized the acquirement of the company. With his art design skill, he leveled up to level 5. He was able to draw the manga to perfection as if he was the original author. Sam was able to rent an office for them too. It was a 10-store building located in a medium business street. It had all types of companies on the 10 floors. They rented the whole 4th floor. Sam would start the move today as he would go to the Fuji Jump Company to sign the papers of the purchase. Theo entered Sayuri's office and saw her childish face. Good morning, Sayuri. Theo said to her with a smile. Good morning, Theo, she said while looking at this handsome boy that convinced her to sell 90% of her company. He looked young but at the same time past a mature look. They didn't beat around the bush and started going over the documents. Theo and Sayuri signed it and the paper just needed to be looked over by a lawyer to the purchase be official. Sayuri said in the afternoon the lawyer would deliver him the marked and original contract. Theo was happy. In the afternoon he would be the major shareholder of this company. Now that everything is over, I want to show you something to assure you that my promise for you will come true. Theo said to her as he passed the first 5 chapters of Naruto. Sayuri was curious as to why he was certain of vision. She took the manuscript he passed and started reading. She was instantly absorbed by the story. And read it for around 30 minutes while Theo went through his phone. Theo, this is an excellent manga. Only this manga is capable of selling more than any manga we ever published. Sayuri said excitedly as she stopped reading. Oh Sayuri, I believe this manga will change the world. Theo said with eyes that seemed to know about the future. Sayuri saw his eyes that exuded confidence and became confident too about the future. For the rest of the morning, Theo visited the facilities of the company building as he looked at the report Sayuri delivered about all the workings of the company. As they came back to Sayuri's office, Theo said to her. Sayuri, I want you to continue being the head manager of the house. She was surprised. She thought he already had a person for the job, she wasn't very hopeful about being the head manager of the company anymore. I would love to, she said excitedly. So, for the next 2 hours, Theo explained his plan for the company. He said he would send her a detailed plan and that she would have to implement it. In the afternoon, he was organizing his new office when he was informed that some papers arrived for him. He instantly thought about the purchase documents he signed in the morning. When he got the papers in his hand he heard a sound in his mind. Ding! Congratulations on completing the mission, expanding the company, issuing the rewards, ding. Congratulations. You received $50,000 in your bank account, ding. Congratulations. You received 400 EXP, ding. Congratulations. You have leveled up from level 4 to level 5. You received 4 free attributes points and 1 lucky draw ticket. Chapter 18 New Missions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Theo didn't even bat an eye for the money prize anymore. He was more interested in the level-up rewards. System, status he thought as he sat on the chair of his office. Ding. Host. Theodore Gray level 5, 0/2000, age. 18 cash, $74,500 net worth, $770,000 business companies owned. 100% shares, Blue Cloud Coffee Shop, $500,000, 90% shares, Fuji Jump Company, $300,000, attributes. Strength. 18.0 intelligence. 20 vitality. 15.1 charm. 16 free attribute points. 4 lucky draws tickets. 1 skills. 1 business management. Level 7, 290/6000. The ability to manage a business to success. 2 food beverages. Level 7, 156/6000. The knowledge to create and make food and drinks to perfection. Host gains knowledge of the secrets behind the food beverage. 3 Grandmaster fighting experience of the myriad of styles, level max. You possess the fighting experience of grandmasters of over 1,000 styles of fighting. You have all the knowledge, all you have to do is to practice to be a real grandmaster. Your training is thousands much faster than a normal person. 4 Arts design knowledge skill, level 5, 760/2000. The knowledge on how to draw aesthetically and on how to design myriads of projects. First, the money I have is pitiful compared with the more than 300k he had, but he used that to buy the publishing house and the renting of the new office. He received 50k from the mission, but it still is less than I had, but that's okay. In 15 days I get back the money that I spent. Second, the status now shows my net worth. I guess owning more than one company made it appear. Third, my attributes started to slow down the increase. I guess the higher the value, the harder is to increase. I guess after 20, only the free attribute points will make them increase. Theo thought, I should increase all of them 20 to see if the same thing that happened when my int achieved 20 will happen when I hit 20 with the other status. System, assigned 2 points to strength and 2 points to charm. Theo prepared himself for the process he was familiar with. But this time it was somewhat different. It seemed like his body sublimed into nirvana. He felt like he arrived on some kind of limit somehow. The process took longer than usual. After it ended, he asked the system to show him only his attributes points. Attributes points. Strength. 20 intelligence. 20 vitality. 15.1 charm. 20, what? He shouted in his mind. He gained 2 extra charm points and he didn't know how. System, what happened? He asked. The host reached the sublimation of his body. It is possible to exist someone stronger than you, but your body is almost perfect according to human standards. As you reached this state, your charm value increased accordingly. Take note, this situation will only happen one time, the system explained patiently to Theo. Theo now understood the situation. Somehow, he almost reached perfection and became more handsome because of it. He got up to look at himself and discovered his whole body became leaner and more powerful. He looked like a male god. His face looked like a movie star's face. His hair became silver-gray from the only gray color it was before. He reached 187 m and his muscles looked like they were sculpted by an artist. I bet the ladies will go crazy, he said jokingly, not really putting much importance that he looked more handsome. Later that day, he was cooking dinner when he heard Aurora arriving from the library. He continued chopping off the vegetables as he greeted her. "Hey, Cupcake, how was your day?" he said tenderly. She came to the kitchen to answer him, but when she looked at him, she froze. "Oh, my goodness, why is he so handsome?" she mumbled in her mind. Realizing she didn't answer, Theo lifted his head to look at her. And it was when she looked at his face, as he frowned worrying why she didn't speak, that she became even more petrified with his looks. He walked to her and started patting her head asking. "Cupcake, are you okay?" he asked in a worry. When he touched her head, she woke from the stupor and mumbled an answer. Yes, brother, you look different today," she said with a blush that covered her entire face. So, that's why she was stunned, he thought, realizing what happened. Theo forgot about his changes during the day. "Is that so?" "I don't see it," he said, dispensing the subject. After they spent time training and studying, Theo was relaxing in the bedroom when he heard a sound in his mind. Ding! New mission: build with your hands. Description: it is time to build a business with your own hands. Requirements: you have to open a business that you designed and planned yourself. You can't buy an existing business and reform it. Rewards: 1. $100,000, 2. 1,000 EXP. Ding! New mission: 2, back to the original value. Description: your recently purchased business once was famous and more valued. Make it come back to its original value. Requirements: the Fuji Jump Company has to be worth more than $1 million. Rewards: 1. $500,000, 2. 1,000 EXP. 3. Complete light novel. Theo was shocked as he looked at the third reward of the second mission. Sword Art Online. A super famous light novel of his past life, that also was adapted to anime. He watched all the anime episodes in his past life and he loved the story. I have to speed up the reformulation of the Fuji company. I sent the detailed plan of the reform to Sayuri and she said tomorrow she would have an answer of how much time they would be in reform. Theo thought. He sent a very detailed plan. Including designs for the new logo of the company, a mountain with sakura trees around it, resembling Mount Fuji of his past life. A new design for a website where it was possible to place orders, wasn't a novelty in this society. And several other things. Sayuri didn't have an exact number, but she was certain that the reform would cost more than $100,000. Theo was okay with this number. He would receive much more after he launched the first mission. I cannot buy it. I have to build everything. That's interesting. Theo thought as he brainstormed several ideas. I could build an anime studio, but that would take years to accomplish, Theo inwardly said while dismissing the idea. I have only one option, of the rest of the doable companies, that makes me feel excited to build with my hands, a restaurant. Theo thought excitedly. Theo was thinking of the various possibilities he had and how he would implement them. Chapter 19: Getting another manga. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Theo got up to take a shower before bed, he remembered something. System, draw my lucky ticket, he said in his mind. Opening lucky draw roulette, Theo saw again the roulette spinning. Around 1 minute later, it stopped spinning. Ding! Congratulations! You received the completed Hataraku Mao Sama manga. Chapter 20: Completing a hidden mission. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As they arrived home, Theo said to her. Cupcake, this is a credit card with a bank account I made for you. I placed $20,000 for you to spend on clothes, electronics, makeup. Basically, anything you want, he said while passing over a credit card. Aurora froze as she heard what he said. $20,000. Isn't that too much money, brother? She asked in a hurry. Of course not, sis, I can make $20K in 1 day of profit with Blue Cloud Coffee Shop. And today our dinner was $5K. Money isn't a problem anymore, Cupcake. And I want you to have your own money so that you can buy anything you want without having to ask me for money, he said with love. She was mesmerized by the new reality they were living but was happy nonetheless that her brother was successful as she knew how much he suffered to provide for them before. Thank you. You are the best brother ever, she exclaimed sweetly. Theo's heart instantly melted when he heard that. I like hearing that. He thought dreamily 2 days later. It was early in the morning and Theo was at the kitchen cooking breakfast for Aurora while she was getting ready to go for her first day at her new school. She got into the kitchen dressed in her uniform and she looked like a fairy. She's too beautiful for her own good. It was a wise decision teaching her self-defense, he thought. I made your lunch as you asked, Cupcake, he pointed at the bento that was on the counter. Thank you, brother. I only like eating your food, she sweetly while eating breakfast. Theo said goodbye as he saw her entering a car. He contracted a car company to take her to school and get her back home too. Her new school was 4 train stations away but he didn't want her inside a train where she could be molested. He didn't trust any man. The service was only $10,000 a month and the car would be ready at her disposal any time she called. It was perfect for many situations. And the drivers were all women, so he didn't have to worry about the driver. He got back inside and dressed in his super tight old school uniform. Today was the day he would take the graduation exam. Theo was relaxed about it. Over the course of these last 2 weeks, he studied the whole high school program and he knew the subjects to an extremely high degree. With his enhanced intelligence, it was an easy feat. He arrived at his school, in his awkward-looking uniform but he looked handsome nonetheless. Nobody recognized him. His predecessor was a skin and bones person that didn't talk with anyone. Nobody would associate with this handsome-looking boy that looked like a movie actor. Theo took his exam. And it lasted the whole day. He didn't take much time answering but he had 5 exams at different times of the day so usually, he would answer the exam in 1 hour, and the rest of the time he idled looking at his phone. After he handed over the last exam for the examiner, he was informed that the result would be forwarded to him in the next few days and if he passed, he would receive a call from the school with graduation papers. Theo was happy that everything was taken care and now he could focus his attention on his company. Theo arrived at his apartment and he observed that Aurora didn't get home yet. So, he took a shower and started cooking dinner for her. He knew she would be hungry and she arrived. When he was finishing the dishes, he heard the front door opening. I am home, Aurora said as she took out her shoes. Hey, Cupcake, you can take a shower and when you get out the dinner will be ready. He said. I am gonna do that then, brother, she said as she walked to her bedroom. As they sat at the table to eat, Theo asked her with a smile. So, how was your first day in the new school? It was awesome, brother. Everything is so much better there. I felt I was in a university. The classes are much harder too. But I liked the atmosphere. I made some friends too. She exclaimed. Aurora started recounting her day in detail and Theo listened with all his attention. He loved hearing her talk about her day. After dinner, Aurora asked Theo if he could continue teaching her self-defense. And he gladly agreed. He loved teaching her how to beat potential funny guys that got too touchy with her. Next day. In the morning, Theo was teaching Akihiro-sensei a movement that Theo executed in the sparring. Such a fine attack. This a masterpiece movement. Akihiro-sensei exclaimed. Thank you, Theo chuckled as he got his things to go home. Now that Aurora started her classes, she didn't come to training in the morning anymore. It was better for her to go to school rested. Theo too had to cut 1 hour of his sparring session to be home at 7 a.m. to cook breakfast and lunch for Aurora. But he did that with happiness. Because he felt that he was part of her day even if he wasn't with her during the day. For the next week, Theo would go training super early, got back home, and cooked for Aurora. At night he would cook dinner for her and train her in self-defense. But during the day he was fully immersed in his restaurant plans. He watched cooking classes, tested cooking recipes and techniques, searched for a place for his restaurant, designed decorations for the restaurant according to his wishes. He got a lot of work done as he had to do without Sam's help. And he loved this process. He already loved his restaurant. And on Friday, as he tested a cooking recipe, he heard a sound in his mind. Ding! Congratulations! You acquired the Chef of the Gods skill, ding! Congratulations! You completed the hidden mission. It is better to earn than to gain. Hidden mission, it is better to earn than to gain. Description. You gained various skills from the system, but earning a skill through your efforts is way better. Requirements. Obtain a skill, through your efforts, according to the system standards. Rewards. 1. $200,000, 2. 1,000 EXP. 3. Decorations for your restaurant in any design you want.